Welcome back to the show. It's your girl Sarah right here on Relax Radio. And I'm super excited to be here because, we're having this very important and interesting conversation with the latest coronavirus developments here in the United Kingdom. All right. So don't be shy to share your thoughts, share your opinions with me because I would love to hear what you have to say. So text me on 078 share your thoughts, share your opinions because that is something that I would definitely love to hear with regard to what is happening in the world. All right. Now, like I said, I'm very excited to be here because I want to share my thoughts and I want to share my opinions with you. But before we head into the conversation, I want to very quickly remind you that all you need to do to share your thoughts and to share your opinions is obviously to text or call me on 078 But also something else that you can actually do is to go like us on Facebook or follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel either, because that way you can actually make sure that you're listening to the conversation. You're making sure that you're updated and you know the very latest news that is happening in the world. All right. And something else that we need to talk about, or something else that I need to remind you about, is that our app is in fact available for download for free on both the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. So don't forget to share your thoughts, share your opinions with me on that as well. And you can listen into the conversation from anywhere you're in the world at any time of the day if you actually share your thoughts and opinions with us through our app as well. All right. And now let's actually head into our conversation with regard to what exactly are the very latest developments. What exactly are the very latest developments with regard to COVID-19, especially here in the United Kingdom. All right. Now, earlier we were talking about how exactly, or rather we were, asking the question, or we were pondering upon the question of whether the vaccine, the fully vaccinated, the vaccines that we received back, a few months ago, a few weeks ago, is actually enough to protect us against the Delta variant. All right. And we were talking about a research that was conducted on it, whether that was actually helpful and whether that would actually help a lot of these people to protect themselves against the Delta variant, right? So when we were talking about that, we were talking about how vaccines are in fact very helpful, right? Because the truth is, even though it might not necessarily have the same protection that it had for the rest of the variants, what we can actually keep in mind is that when you are vaccinated, it does mean that you do have a higher sense of immunity, you have a higher level of immunity as well, and that even if you do contract COVID, even if you do get infected with COVID, what's going to happen is that the condition of COVID that you develop will actually be mild. It won't be as severe if it won't be as severe as you get it when you're unvaccinated. All right. Now, fully vaccinated adults, according to this new research, fully vaccinated adults can in fact harbor virus levels that are as high as unvaccinated people if they're infected with the Delta variant, right? And this is from this analysis that actually supports that in no way can you, or rather, this threshold for achieving herd immunity is in fact unlikely. All right. Now, something that we've seen a lot, or something that a lot of people say is, look, you know what, we're going to keep the country open. We're going to make sure people can go about and do whatever it is that they're doing, because that way, maybe that way, they will actually develop herd immunity. But Sir Andrew Pollard actually said, look, you know what, the herd immunity doesn't exist. That's just a myth, right? And with regard to all of the new information, with regard to the new research that is available, herd immunity might actually just be a myth, right? And this is what this study supports as well. It supports the fact that herd immunity is in fact very unlikely, right? Now, there is in fact abundant evidence that might actually show that, there is in fact, like I said, there is abundant evidence that that shows that COVID vaccines in the United Kingdom continue to offer significant protection against hospitalizations and death. All right. Obviously, being vaccinated is not something bad. You're still going to make sure that you survive this pandemic. It's still going to make sure that you have enough antibody in your body to protect you from all of these, protect you from COVID-19 worsening in your body. All right. So that's important to keep in mind. But even though, like I said, even though this new analysis shows that you can actually have the same amount of virus levels as an unvaccinated person if you get the Delta variant, it still means that it still means that you will still have a certain sense of protection in comparison to someone who's not vaccinated, right? Because the implications of this transmission actually remain very, very unclear, because we don't really know how much of transmission can happen from people to people unless we're actually able to measure these levels of antibodies within our body, right? So until we find a way to do that, you can't actually figure out how exactly it works, right? And like I said, this is something that is still in the works. It's still, they're still working on it. This is something that is just being trialed, so that is important to keep in mind as well. Now make sure you stay tuned, because we're going to head into a small break, and after that we will be back to discuss more of this. But obviously until then, make sure you stay tuned. Hi guys, welcome back to the show. It's your girl Sarah right here on Relax Radio, and I am super, super excited to be here because I get to share my thoughts, I get to share my opinions with you, but also because I get to hear your thoughts and opinions with the very latest that happens, not just here in the United Kingdom, but in fact all over the world as well. All right, so don't forget to text me, call me, share your thoughts, share your opinions, because I would love to hear what you have to say. All right, and now let's actually get back into our conversation, because we're talking about the very latest developments in coronavirus here in the United Kingdom. All right. Now, earlier we were talking about if the vaccines that we received are actually enough to protect us against the Delta variant. But now we're going to be talking about whether all adults in the United Kingdom actually need a booster shot. All right. Now, before we head into the conversation, I want to very quickly remind you that you can in fact be a part of this show. Don't forget to text me or call me on 078-52-473-473. Share your thoughts, share your opinions, because that will be absolutely amazing as well. And something else that you can actually do is to go like us on our Facebook and follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, because that way you can actually make sure that you're always informed and you're always updated about all of these things. And something else you need to keep in mind is that our app too is available for download. All right. So if you want to download an app because you want to stay updated and listen to the conversation, well, then all you need to do is just head on over to the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store, download the app, and actually make sure that you're listening in and you're keeping yourself informed and updated about all of these things. Because if you get the app, you can actually listen to the conversation from anywhere in the world at any time of the day, regardless of whatever it is you're doing. And honestly, in my opinion, I think that's something pretty cool. All right. Now let's actually head back into our conversation, because I'm going to be talking about, whether fully vaccinated adults, or rather, whether all UK adults actually need the booster jab. Right now, like I said, there's a lot of rich countries out here that are considering giving the booster jab to people, right? And the truth is that might not necessarily be necessary, right? Because we still haven't had enough of information from the WHO or the World Health Organization to actually say, look, people need booster shots, right? The evidence on whether we need to administer booster jabs to people or whatnot is still unclear. All right, so until enough research is done on that, we can't, it's not that we can't, but it's advisable not to actually administer these booster jabs to people. Right now, on some time back actually, but very recently, Health Secretary Sajid Javid actually said, look, you know what, in September we're going to start a booster jab vaccine rollout, and then people who want to get the booster jab can actually come in and get it, right? But what a lot of people, or what a lot of doctors have recommended, is that unless you have immunodeficiency, unless you have immunosuppressive conditions, not to actually go ahead and, not to, unless you have those, then obviously at that point of time, then yes, you do need the booster jab, right? Especially if you have, if your immune system is deficient, or if you have immunosuppression, then yes, getting the booster jab for these kind of people might actually be a necessity to actually make sure that they have enough protection. Because the truth is, those people already, even though they've been given 2 doses, that is not enough for them to protect themselves from the rest of the virus, right? So it's important to keep that in mind as well, because since we're, because we're talking about, booster jabs and making sure people have the best protection, right? But also, while we're at it, we need to keep in mind that there are people around the world who haven't been able to get even 1 dose of the vaccine. So even though we're trying to make everyone else, or people from much better, much developed countries, more immune to the virus, we also need to keep in mind that there are people who are in fact living in the worst stages of the pandemic, right? There are people who have, there are countries that have no protection, no vaccinations, and people, or rather, and countries that have actually gone through much, much worse stages of the pandemic than we have. And the truth is, that's because we actually were able to get vaccinated, right? Our population is vaccinated, but in other countries those people are not. And vaccine inequality is also one of the biggest issues that have been widely talked about, widely spoken about. And the United Kingdom has a government has in fact been criticized for some of the decisions they've made with regard to booster jobs as well, because of the simple fact that there are so many people in the world out there who haven't even had 1 dose of the vaccine. And so Andrew Pollard has actually stated that, these booster jabs should actually go to parts of the world where they actually need the vaccines, right? People who haven't even gotten 1 dose of the vaccine. All right, so that is what we need to keep in mind. And now I'm going to actually end this, because I will be back in a few minutes to keep talking about how, low risk of dementia is there for people who are in stimulating jobs. All right, but until then, make sure you stay tuned, because